can stop me. No. 'Cause I'm addicted to what you and I realize. Either way, I follow. No need to say where we are heading now, babe. I follow to the edge of it all. So tell your good night, 'cause I'll find no matter what. Yeah, susceptible night before the moment flies, before it flies. So tell your good night, 'cause I'll find no matter what. Susceptible night before the moment flies.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Welcome back to the Locked In Podcast, episode 77 on this first week in April. George is trying to connect down there. But anyway, guys, the topic tonight, if you guys saw the promotions, we're going to be talking to, well, number one, let me introduce my good friend Bill right here, because he's going to be one talking about his experiences. Welcome, my good friend Bill Plymouth to the podcast tonight, guys. What is going on, Bill?
Thanks for having me, Steve. Pleasure to see you.
Oh, man, it's a pleasure to have you on. It's a pleasure to hear about this topic tonight, man, because I know it's going to be a very, very interesting episode. We got a lot of people that are kind of rolling in right now. It looks like on my side, I can see like the people up top, like the amount of people that are kind of coming in. But yeah, ultimately, guys, what we're talking about tonight, we're going to talk about Bill's experience with some medical trials with the drug. What is it? Ketamine?
Ketamine, yeah.
Ketamine, got you. So this is going to be exciting tonight, guys. We're going to get into a lot of different stuff, and then we have some time towards the end where we'll talk. Bill actually has some experience in the area of Muay Thai fighting. So Bill can talk about his experiences with that, and George does some mixed martial arts as well. So George can share some experiences as well. Guys, as always, I'm your host for the evening, Steve Ushler, and then my co-host George Mentai is always on the other side. He's just having some technical difficulties, but he'll be in shortly. I'm going to play the quick intro, and then on the other side, we can kind of cozy our way right into it. Sound good, man?
Perfect.
All right, let's get it.
Let's go.
All right, guys, as I said, welcome back to the Locked In Podcast, episode 77, where we're joined by my good friend, Bill Plymouth. Man, we've known each other for like over 10 years. Kind of crazy. Since high school days.
Oh, Father Judge all the way.
Yeah, man, FJ gang, and we probably got some judge guys watching tonight too. So this will be interesting, man. I'm really interested to see the topic. I guess momentarily he's definitely trying to come in, but I think he's having connectivity issues. But man, excited to have you on your first time on the podcast. I know you watch kind of regularly, so as of late. So appreciate you being on here, man. We can we can hop into it in a minute, guys. If you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, I always like to say if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook and you like what you see, smash the like button. If you're watching on YouTube and you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button and turn notifications on by hitting the notification bell because we release episodes every single week. You don't want to miss it. And yeah, man, we can just kind of hop into it. I'm sure George will be on momentarily, but yeah, why don't we just we can hop into start with like the ketamine stuff, man. And man, I'm excited to hear about. So can you like break down like what exactly like ketamine is? Because I'm actually kind of curious too. Like I know it's a drug, but I don't know like a ton on it, man. So like kind of what it is, and then we can kind of just dive into your experiences on it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in layman's terms, ketamine is a psychedelic. As of late, there have been trials with psychedelics in the treatment of mental health. And I know mushrooms recently have just been experimented, but ketamine is a little bit more further up the line. Um, so there's still a lot that's unknown about the major effects and everything that it did, but they're confident enough to start rolling it out to the public. And I got to try some. It was 6 sessions, and it was, man. It honestly, I'm gonna delve into the experiences, and you guys are gonna probably don't want to lock me away. So,
oh man, we're raw on here, man. So, dude, feel free to not leave anything out, man. You can drop anything here, man. It's an open forum.
Rock on. All right, so what the purpose of the ketamine was to do, was to rewire your neurons.
Okay.
So when people have certain mental disorders, it physically affects your brain pathways. Everyone says, mental health is all in your head. Well, it's actually physical as well. It does cause physical harm to the brain. So what the purpose of the ketamine is to create new pathways in your brain, to kind of make your brain use the new pathways that aren't as trafficked as opposed to the ones that are damaged or not firing correctly or whatever's happening.
Right.
So after 6 sessions is kind of what they say is enough rewiring for your brain. And, so during those 6 sessions, I was very heavy in therapy as well to talk about the things that I saw, because they wanted you to unpack a lot of that with a therapist. But I'm here to tell you all the wild hallucinations that I had, and actually some of the weird lessons that I learned as well, that I really wasn't expecting.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to hear it, man, because I didn't really know too much about it. I know I had heard of it before, but then I kind of look it up a little bit before, like yesterday, because I was actually kind of curious, man. But I'm excited to hear this, man, because this is definitely unique. We haven't had anything like this on here, so.
Yeah, you know what? As soon as you texted me, you're like, "Hey, you can talk about whatever you want." I was like, you know what? This will be a good topic. And you know what? It's still kind of fresh for me. And honestly, not even a lot of people know that I went through this. I haven't been very open about it. I told a few people that I've been pretty close with, but other than that, this is my first time really publicly talking about it. So this is going to be a good experience.
Man, I'm honored that you're able to. This is your first time openly discussing it, man, and you're bringing it here to talk about it, man. I'm definitely excited to hear it, man. So, man, so how many trials did you say it was in total?
Yeah, so they broke it down into 6 sessions, and it was weekly. So I went every Wednesday. That was my thing. And every Wednesday they up your dose by 25 milligrams, and it goes by weight. I at the time, I don't know why at the time. This happened a month ago. I was about 175. I forget exactly what my starting dose was, but I think my ending dose was about 175. So I think it's like a milligram per pound essentially.
Okay.
But and each time, obviously, as you up the dose, it gets more intense and more intense.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, that's that's interesting, man. So every Wednesday over a period of 6 weeks.
Yep. And
And
for okay.
I was gonna say, and what year did you go through all this? Like, how long ago was this?
Oh, this was my last treatment was like a month ago.
Oh wow! Oh, just that
Yeah,
recently. Wow.
this is brand new.
Oh man, so damn, we're I'm interested to hear, man. This is gonna be so walk me through, man, like your first session, man. What was that like? Like walking into that, man. Like what was that experience like?
So to be honest, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I talked to the consultation people. I did it over in Bryn Mawr at a place called Genesis Ketamine Centers. That's what it's called.
Okay.
So I talked to them and they kind of gave me an idea. They're like, yeah. And I thought it was just going to be a situation where I get knocked out, they pump me full of this, and I wake up, and that's kind of it. But they were like, yeah, no, it's not like that. It's actually you're going to be awake and you're going to hallucinate for the full hour that you do it because each session's about 45 minutes to an hour.
Right.
They're like, you're gonna heavily hallucinate for that full hour, and I'm like, oh my god. And they're like, yeah, but we're gonna sedate you so you really can't move. So I'm just like, oh my god. So I'm gonna be seeing weird shit. I'm not. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna be seeing weird stuff.
Oh, you're fine,
And
man.
yeah, and I'm like, oh my god. Like I'm not gonna be able to move. I'm not gonna like what's gonna be. So honestly, my way to kind of like bring myself back to reality, if I started to freak out a little too much, is I would click my teeth. I would go. Just to kind of base myself, to remind myself that it's in my head.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. That's a crazy experience, man, to like think you're like wow, I gotta acknowledge that this is inside my head. This is coming from me. Wow.
Yeah. And the hallucinations were also physical. So, and honestly, I noticed, I don't know if this was, I have to find more people who experienced this. So it started out. So first thing they did, they put me in a chair. They take my blood temp there, my what's that thing? The blood pressure.
Oh, blood pressure.
Yeah, I almost said blood temperature. I don't know why, but they took my blood pressure and they lean you back. They fill you up with the anesthetics to kind of make you a little woozy so you can't move. And
Right.
they put you like a blinder on you, and they sit you back in this chair. It's called a zero gravity chair, which honestly, everyone just needs one in their house. It's this recliner. And so you're sitting, a regular chair, you recline and it brings your feet above your head. So you're laying on an angle like this and all of your weight's off your body. Like you literally feel like you're floating.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was pretty neat. So once the ketamine starts, so you sit there for like 5 minutes as everything starts pumping through you. It takes about 5 minutes for it to actually hit, until you start to feel things. First, you just see a little bit of color. Nothing too crazy. You kind of start to see like greens and blues. For me, at least, it was greens and blues, like flash in front of you. Right. And then once the trip starts, this is the weirdest part. I could feel pressure on my eye. So it felt like someone did this on my eyes and then drug it down my face and down my entire body.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was, you could feel it. It was weighted. It was bizarre.
Wow.
And yeah. And so this happened on my first and like my third, but it didn't happen on the rest. I got pulled into a vortex. So like my body got sucked into this vortex and I was spinning around and I could feel myself spinning. That was kind of freaky the first time. I'm not going to lie.
I can imagine, man. I can only imagine like me going through something like that. And I'm just like, what the hell? Because I mean, you obviously expect there's going to be side effects in the hallucinations, but you don't realize like you don't know how everything's going to hit you. You know what I mean? Because everybody's probably reacts differently. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I actually had some side effects after treatment. I mean, they expect some after treatment or like after your sessions. But I actually had a few that they actually haven't had before. So sometimes for like a day or two after treatment, I would have wild ups and downs. And I don't mean like 1 hour I'd be like at the height of, you would have thought I just snorted a line off the toilet. Like I was like, let's do everything. Let's crush it. It was a whatever. And then like the next hour, I'm like, all right, I'm ready for bed. But then like I wake up and I'm like, oh my God. And it was like some pretty tense mania for a couple days after sometimes.
Something out of a movie.
Yeah, it really was. It was like Wolf of Wall Street when he does Quaaludes and he's falling out of the car.
Such a great movie.
Oh, so good.
That's awesome, man. That's honestly, man. Like that just sounds like a crazy, but like cool experience, because it's something that like most people will probably never experience in their entire life, right? Like it's like, wow, that's crazy. And that was just off of like the first session.
Oh, that was the first session, dude. I didn't even get to the crazy part yet of the first session. That was just the start.
Just the start of it.
Yeah. So in the first session, and keep in mind, these are all hallucinations. I'm not fabricating any of these tales. I actually have them all written down. These are all legitimate hallucinations that I had. So I got sucked into this vortex and I end up in like this black space. I'm just in this super black space. And in it, like there was windows, and like I'm looking outside the windows and I see scenes happening, but I can't like wrap around exactly what it's like I was looking at things I wasn't supposed to understand. So I'm like looking at these things and I'm trying to like wrap my head about what's going on. I put my hand in front of me because I felt weird and all my fingers broke. So I had to put my hand back down. Couldn't look at my hand again. Yeah, that was creepy. I walked past a couple windows where I actually like saw scenes of my life take place, like past scenes of my life. And then there was one where I walked by and I saw what I can only think was myself. It was like as like an old man in a hospital bed, and that was creepy. Shit. Yeah. So I walk through and I finally I wander through. I see a couple more weird scenes. Every now and then you got this like weird feeling like you were in a roller coaster. And like I couldn't move or physically walk anymore, and I would just get dragged somewhere. So this is the first time that happens. I'm trying to walk forward. I can't walk forward anymore, and I just get dragged. And I land in front of this door. There's nowhere else for me to go. So I open the door. I opened the door and I'm in this jungle room, which is honestly the only thing I could describe it. Like it looked like it was the inside of a temple. There was like some trees, some like rainforest trees. There was like some rainforest trees. It was like tile, like sandstone made. It looked like the inside of a pyramid, to be honest. So I'm like walking around and I notice there's no other door. Right. So I'm like, how do I get out? So I start like hitting the wall, I'm like trying to figure out what to do. And I turn around, and this was not there before. And there's this giant, and I mean like the size of a house, giant golden idol behind this force field.
Oh man.
So I look at this golden idol in this force field, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? So I walk up and I try to touch the force field and my hand can't go through. But I turn back around and a door appeared. Right. So I start walking towards the door, but all of a sudden I can't move anymore. And then I'm turned around and I'm facing the golden idol again. Right. And this time he's like looking dead at me and he moves the force field out of the way. Now I'm freaking out a little bit. I'm like, whoa. So I'm like, what's happening? And he looks at me. He's like, why are you here? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to figure out, I was like, I'm in a tough spot. I'm trying to figure out how to be happy. And he looks at me and he goes, well, you're not happy because you're living by the wrong tenets. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, every person on the planet has tenets that they're meant to live by. He goes, people can have similar or the same tenets, but for the most part, everyone has a different set of rules they're meant to live by. And I said, okay. And I said, so what are mine? I was like, obviously I'm doing it wrong. And he looks at me for a second and he puts his thumb on my head and there's this bright light. And then he like sits back and he goes, your tenets are to live and to help. And I said, okay, what does that mean? And like, just as I asked that question, I got sucked back out and I was back in the doctor's office.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's like a hell of a time to be sucked back out. You're trying to find the meaning and then boom, you're getting sucked.
Yeah. But I took that for that week and I was like, okay, to live and to help, how can I do that? So the first I'm like, all right, to live, I'm like, I'm breathing, I'm there. Okay. But I was like, okay, to help. But so I started volunteering at a couple different organizations. There's a dog shelter downtown. I started walking dogs there.
Oh, awesome, man.
Yeah, and then there's this place called it's called Philly Untapped, and every second Saturday of the month, they get a group of people, they volunteer somewhere. You volunteer for like 2 to 3 hours, and then they buy everyone pizza and beer.
Awesome.
So, yeah. So I did that a few times too. Unfortunately, I couldn't do it last week or 2 weeks ago because it interfered with my work schedule. But
that's cool, man. Yeah, I've heard of Philly Untapped actually. I've heard of that. That's interesting, man. That's awesome though. That's cool that like it left you like a message of like kind of what to do, and then you actually took that message and did something with it to try to see where you could find like, you know what I mean, like the best you can make the meaning out of that message. You know what I mean, and do what you can. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, I mean that was the most I could really do, and I kind of like, and I had that buzzing in my head, you know, to live and to help for, and anything that popped in, like any negative thought that kind of popped in, you know, that like that mantra would just repeat itself, to live and to help, and it would kind of like overwhelm my negative thoughts.
Right.
Like it kind of gave me like a sense of purpose to look forward to. So it was helpful in that regard as well.
Right. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And that was just session number 1.
Yeah, we got 5 other ones to talk about if you want to hear them.
Oh yeah, man. I want to hear every one of them, man. Well, I don't care how long we're on here. That's awesome, man. So it's like so the first one, to live and to help, and yeah, man, that's some crazy experiences. And then you just woke up in the doctor's office.
Yeah. Oh, and so when you wake up in the doctor's office, honestly, like you wake up and you feel like, dude, you feel like you smoked like a pound of weed by yourself. Like you're all kinds of banged up for probably about an hour, but then after that it wears off.
Wow, man. I can imagine, dude. I mean, you're coming from like almost like another dimension. You know what I mean? You're like in this big hallucination. When you wake up and you're like, what? Like, where am I?
Oh yeah. And sometimes it's so real. You're surprised when you wake up back in the doctor's office.
Yeah, I can imagine. It probably feels real as hell, and you're just like, yeah, crazy. So, man, like, was that mainly? What was the next session like, man? I'm curious, man. Now you got me like drawn in. You got me drawn in here, man.
All right, so session number 2. So I go back to the doctor's office, and I'm like, all right. So I learned I learned what my tenets are: to live and to help. I'm like, I have to go find this golden idol again and see what, you know, I'm meant to mean by this, or you know, this means. So the whole time I'm in the chair, you know, to live and to help, that's all I'm thinking about. And then finally, like as everything kind of kicked in, only the first phrase stuck in my head. It was just to live. And I'm like, is this what I'm going to learn about? Like, I'm here. Like what could they possibly tell me? Right. You know, so I'm really trying to figure out what it is. So I end up in like it looked like a city, a very nondescript city, like a backdrop you would see in a movie. Like, yeah, you're just, but it wasn't busy. There was actually no one on the street. So, you know, I'm walking down. So I look behind me and it's all black, but I look forward and there's houses and a sidewalk. So that's the way I got to go, obviously.
Right.
So I walk forward and, you know, I finally see, for what feels like hours, I walk forward, to be honest. It took a really long time to find anything. And then there's this old guy sitting on a stoop. And yeah, I'm like, all right, he's the only other person I've seen for what seems like hours. Let's see what's like. I'm like, what's going on with this guy?
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, what's going on? And he kind of like, he looks up and he's like, hey, man. He's like, he talked like an old like 70s hippie. And like, imagine like Cheech or Chong, like that's what he talked like. And but he's like, hey, man. And I'm like, hey, what's going on with you? Like, what are you doing here? He goes, I'm here to help you, man. He goes, I hear you need to learn how to live. And I'm like, yeah, man, I guess that's why I'm here. And he goes, cool. And he stands up and he turns into this blue cloud, which was bizarre. I don't know why, but he turns into this blue cloud. And he goes, in order to live, man, he goes, you got to shine this on everybody. And he opens like this compartment in his stomach and he pulls out like an orb of light. And I'm like, dude, like, where do I get that? I'm like, I don't have one of those. And he's like, nah, man, everyone's got one. And the guy opens up my stomach, which was freaky, and pulls out this orb of light. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, what is this? He's like, that's your light, man. You gotta shine that on everything. And I'm like, all right. I was like, well, what do you mean? He goes, I'll just show you, man. And he stuck his back of my stomach and then shoves me. But now where there was sidewalk behind me, now I just fall for, again, what seems like ever. And I stop in front of a giant, I mean, honestly, what seemed to me like the sun. So what he essentially like went on from there was to say, he said, people take the word live and, they say live life to its fullest extent. And he said, everyone uses that as an excuse to go out and collect experiences, but that's only half the battle. So I'm like, okay, what's the other half, guy? And he's like, the other half is shining your essence onto everything around you. He goes, your job as a human being is to help everything else around you grow. And so he turned me around and I was looking at like what seemed like planet Earth. He's like, it's your job to indiscriminately shine that light onto everything. And he goes, and some people won't accept it. He goes, that light is a gift. And he goes, but gifts come with receipts. He goes, some people will not accept that gift from you. And he goes, but you keep shining it anyway, because, they might not be ready then, but they might be ready down the road. And he's not talking about like romantic relationships. He's talking about just life in general.
Right.
And Bill the Wise Man. Oh yeah, I'll take it.
I don't know who that is, but it just says Bill the Wise Man.
Yeah, Peter Wiener TV.
Seeing comments coming out, I'm like, I don't know who that is, but maybe it's somebody you know.
Yeah, maybe. Oh man. But he's like, yeah, you gotta shine that on everything you know. And he goes, but he goes, sometimes it won't be accepted and it will be sent back. He goes, but keep shining. He goes, the people who are truly strong shine that light regardless of the outcome.
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, wow, okay. And I said, well, what about the collecting experiences? He's like, hey, he goes, every day is an experience. He's like, just because, you want to go skydiving one day doesn't make the day after that any less important.
Oh,
and
word.
Yeah. So I'm like, wow.
These comments, man. It says, I know you just don't know me. I don't
know.
Who is this? Yo, it's somebody from your hallucinations, man. Coming up.
Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah, what? I don't know, but it's kind of funny.
I mean, know what? They have a YouTube, it looks like. I'm gonna have to
That is.
Yeah. I'll have to do some investigation after this. See who my secret admirer is.
I know. That's funny. But yeah, man, that's so that's interesting. So you still have more from the first set. My bad. I didn't mean to distract you.
No, not at all.
It's kind of funny, the comments, but yeah, man. So what else happened like the rest of it? I'm interested to hear.
Yeah, so honestly, that was the second session.
Okay.
Yeah.
My bad, man. What did you say about the collecting experience? You said you had asked them also about the collecting experiences part. What did
Oh,
you ask about?
I was like, yeah. So I was like, well, what about the collecting experiences? And he said, well, collecting experiences is part of living. He goes, but don't let the experiences you collect overshadow the next day. He said, just because you go skydiving one day doesn't mean the day after that is any less important.
Okay. That's good advice, man. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
And I mean, I don't know. I don't know where it came from. I don't know. And again, like this is why it's weird because so I have this golden idol. I have this blue cloud guy giving me like weird advice, and I have no idea who they like where these ideas come from because it isn't. I mean, they're just locked somewhere in my subconscious, I guess.
Right. Wow. That's interesting, man. So this is 2 sessions. Then were you sucked? So I'm curious. When you went back to the doctor's office this time, were you sucked back out of a vortex again? Was it like something like?
No, this time. So after he finished his conversation, like we were kind of like he brought me back to like in front of his house,
Right.
and like we had another like brief conversation that I really couldn't understand what was being said, or like it was like kind of like when you're in a dream and you're trying to talk and everything kind of like mumbles, and then I
Right.
kind of just woke up and I was back in the room.
Man, interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Two different types. It's fun. It's cool how like the second one kind of piggybacked off the first one because it was the meaning of living, so it connected with the first one.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. It was probably because I went in there thinking so heavily of that.
Right.
I noticed that if I had an objective going in, the everything made a lot more. I mean, as much sense as it could make when you're talking to like blue clouds and golden idols.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's like you're talking to things inside of a hallucination. So I guess it makes sense just for the moment.
Yeah.
Essentially, man. So similarly, did you take anything from this one now? Like when you had left, like in between the next session, like was there something you took from this, like similar to the first one?
Yeah. So I honestly just tried to. I mean, put 100 and so anything I did, I was putting 120% into. Like I always worked really, really hard, but I never looked at anything and just said, "Oh, that's good enough." Like, but
Right.
after that point, I didn't look at anything and say, "Oh, that's good enough." Like I can make that work. It was like everything I wanted to make everything perfect, and I really did just try and spread like as much love and positivity into the world as much as possible. Just reminding
Right.
people how much I care about them, or just small things like that. I would just remind someone how much I care about them, or send someone a text that I haven't talked to in a while and just say, "Hey, I hope you're doing well." Like, and I just did that, honestly, pretty often. I just tried to really, shine that light as strongly as possible.
Right. Makes sense. Awesome, man. That's
Yeah, I
cool.
mean,
So
and I
yeah,
was gonna
you're
say, and from that, I have a couple unanswered text messages, but I
yeah.
still every now and then reach back out, and just say, "Hey, I hope you're doing well. I have the best in mind for you."
Exactly. So like that's the whole thing. It's like, yeah, you might have people that don't answer, but it's like your intentions are pure there. So that's the whole point, man. You're the one who's taking the action. You know what I mean? The first step. I know people that like will like talk to people and it's like they'll be like, oh, sometimes like I just know people who like are just not good with like starting conversations, but people will be like they'd rather be passive aggressive and be like, oh, I'm not communicating with that person because they're not reaching out to me first. It's like it's not always about that. Like people just try to, and then guess what happens? Then no communication happens, and then you wind up not talking to that person. So it happens all the time. So that's good that you took the initiative. That's cool. So you learned something from both the first 2 sessions.
Yeah.
That's crazy,
Oh
man.
man.
And this isn't even the tip of the iceberg yet. I'm assuming I can imagine. I have a feeling, man. There's a lot more crazy stuff that happens.
All right. So session 3 and 4 get a little tough.
All right.
Yeah, I'm just kind of I mean, tough in the sense that so when I got there, I was like, all right, now I'm trying to focus on, I learned to live. Now I have to, learn about like what he meant by to live. And I need to learn about like what it means to help. So 3 and 4 kind of meshed together. They both had a very similar theme. And that theme was the breaking down of my ego to like honestly the upteenth degree. They really hammered it home.
Like humbled you like crazy, like really.
Yeah. So the golden idol and the blue cloud guy, overall, pretty friendly. She was kind of like I really don't really know how to describe her, but she was essentially like a mixture between like a cow and a person, and she was purple.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really weird. But it was apparently her job to just humble me. And and I said, hey, I'm here to live and to, learn the next step. I'm expecting something fun, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, before you can take the next step, you need to learn to humble yourself. And I'm like, okay. I'm not, as far as I'm concerned, I was the most humble guy in the world.
Right.
Joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was, I was like, okay, like, how humble do I need to be? So, I have a lot of big goals, a lot of big aspirations that I really want to accomplish, and to do and make my mark on the world. And she spent two sessions breaking me down to make me, I wouldn't say feel as little as possible, but to really, I guess, put into perspective how minuscule we really are. So she took me, so I'm already in another place. She took me into another world where it was just piles of like creatures and people, and they were all lifeless.
Right.
And I'm like, and I get tossed, like she literally, like we were in the sky, and she goes, this is where all extinct species go. This is where everything ends up. And there was like these giants whose sole existence, like their sole purpose was to push everything into this landfill over there. And I was like, she's like, this is where everyone ends up. And I was like, okay. And she's like, yeah. So we're sitting there. I was like everyone, like the human race, every race, she's like, everything will end up here. And she like snapped, and I fell into this giant pile. And I got pushed into this landfill. And now there's, like I said, it gets a little dark, so bear with me, but there's bodies around me. There's like carcasses around me. And I'm like, now I'm freaking out.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I'm clicking my teeth really hard. I was like, I was like, oh my God, this is tough. And she's like, everything you build, everything you make, she goes, it doesn't matter how great it is. Eventually, everything will end, and this is where you will end up. And I'm like, oh my God, like what is the point? And this is kind of like where it meshes into the fourth one as well.
Yeah.
Like, because I said they spent 2 sessions on this one.
Right.
I must have had a massive ego that I was unaware of.
Yeah.
And she's like, this is eventually where you end up. No matter how great you are, this is where you're going to end up. And that's kind of where session 3 ended, and session 4 picked up. I was really pissed to see this purple cow lady again.
You're like, damn.
Yeah. And so I get there, and she's like, all right, well, you saw where you end up. She goes, but now you need to see how you get there. And I was like, well, you just took me there last time. Like, what do I need to experience?
Right.
And she goes, she's like, well, you need to experience what happens. So I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, lay down. So I lay down, and I just get entombed by a coffin. And I just get drug under the ground.
Huh.
And I was just in this dark, underground in this coffin, as she spoke and said, and she's like, you have your tenets to live and to help. And will you understand, I understand that this is how you want to live, but essentially along the lines of acting with those acting on those tenets with selfishness in mind isn't, or your ego, I should say, or with your ego in mind, isn't how you are properly going to accomplish what you want to accomplish.
Right.
She is like, yeah, you can't force experiences. You can't force help upon people. And she finally ends up, she ends up and she says, you aren't that important. She goes, in the grand scheme, you can think, in the grand scheme, you aren't that important. You are a blink in the universe's eye. So, and that's where that ended. And then I came out after those 2 sessions. I was really depressed. I was really depressed for a little bit after those 2 sessions.
Oh,
really,
man.
Really hammered down my ego there.
Yeah, man. Sounds like it. That's crazy. So it's like it made you kind of feel insignificant. Like they and then like the fact that it's like everything ends at that landfill, it kind of makes you question what's the purpose of life here? What's the purpose of building great things when everything's going to end right here?
Yeah, it was, and it was tough because like we as people, we want to do great things.
Right.
And we need to, but we also kind of need to be aware that those great things, even the entire of human race, eventually, I mean, intelligence collapses in on itself. That's the rule.
Right.
There's always going to be an extinction event. It happened to the dinosaurs. It happens. Different species go extinct every day. It would be kind of ridiculous for us to think eventually that the human race wouldn't.
Right. Exactly. Even with 7 billion people in the world, it could definitely happen.
Yeah. I mean, there's a book called The Wizard and the Prophet, and it's about these 2 scientists. I forget exactly what their names are. They were Swedish names. They're kind of hard to remember.
Okay.
But the one, it's a little bit off topic, but it's just cool to talk about. The one scientist's philosophy was that the human race will survive based on environmental conservation,
right,
and a population decrease. Because I mean, even with environmental conservation, if we stop scientific study, eventually our lifespans will decrease. He's like, in order for us to survive past that point, we need to focus more on conservation as opposed to growth. Whereas the other guy said we can outrun everything with scientific advancement. That's his philosophy. And those are like the 2 schools of thought in that whole realm. It was actually a really cool book, but it was definitely neat to see the thoughts on that, because it's something I never thought of up until a month ago.
Yeah, definitely. It gives you those 2 perspectives. It's a whole nother outlook, essentially. That's cool, man. Well, I guess it's a good thing that the whole thing didn't end after session 4.
Thank God.
That would have been depressing.
Oh yeah, no, we wouldn't be on the podcast. I wouldn't be on the podcast if it ended on session 4. I would never talk about that again.
You'd be in a whole nother frame of mind right now.
Yeah,
man.
Seriously, I'd be holed up in my room like no, it doesn't matter.
No, there's no point of this. No, there's no purpose.
Session 5, thankfully, was a little better. It was actually a lot better. It was about building my ego. Session 5 and 6 kind of roll into each other again.
Okay.
Session 5 was kind of about building my ego back up and really going into depth as to what help meant. And it was, I didn't really have anyone I mean, it was kind of like this cat being, and it was kind of like the same thing with the blue cloud or the golden idol. He was there to like introduce me to the idea, and then like faded away and kind of like would narrate as I saw weird stuff.
Okay.
But to help, is to walk in of a, the proper state of mind, to not help for the sake of your ego. Yeah, helping makes us feel good, let's be honest. But we should never want to just go in and do something strictly because it makes us feel good. You don't want to go in with that selfish mindset. You want to go in and help because someone truly does need help.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like if you go to volunteer and you got to take a video or a selfie of you volunteering, it's like you're not really doing it. You're doing it more for your own ego and for your own validation than you are for, actually helping people.
Exactly. And I mean, going and taking pictures, with a group or, even by yourself while you do something like that isn't bad. But going and picking up a shovel, taking a selfie, saying, "Oh, I volunteered today," and then kind of like walking off.
Or like you're feeding a homeless person and the homeless person's there and you're taking a selfie of them handing them food. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Your intent. It all depends on like what your intentions are. It's one thing if you're, as a group, you're taking it to raise awareness, maybe have more people join. It's all about, because I mean, the universe knows what your intentions are. You know what I mean? It knows what your intentions are.
Oh yeah. If you go in, for selfish means, the world, the universe will definitely know.
Right.
And then the next thing that actually he touched, this cat being touched on, is to not force help upon someone. Sometimes, and I mean, everyone's guilty of this. And looks like George might be popping in.
Yeah, let's see. He's still trying to get that camera working, man. He's having issues with his camera. There you. Oh, I see. Let's see. Yo, you're in.
Finally made it, guys. Sorry, man. I just couldn't. I had to restart everything. It was not letting me, so I made it.
Yeah, man. We're into.
I'm a little late to the party, but what can I say, bro? So I restarted the computer. I fucked the camera. It said like right here on top says this access page, which is StreamYard, obviously Facebook through StreamYard, allows camera and your mic. So I clicked on the camera. I don't know. I did some shit, and then he finally showed it to me. It's the fucking computer. You either restart it and wait. It's thundering out here. Crazy.
Yeah, it's storming, man. I just
saw it. Talk, yo.
It's all right, man. So Bill, so far, man, it's been an interesting journey.
I heard a little bit. I was in here in the beginning, but I couldn't see myself and I couldn't hear the camera, so I couldn't hear the mic, so I had to go back and forth. And it's like 49 minutes already. But all right.
Yeah.
Hey, better late than never.
Yeah. You're getting to the ending portion. Bill walked us through sessions. So he did 6 sessions, and he's walked us through sessions 1 through 4 so far. So we're getting to 5 and 6 now. So I'll let Bill continue.
Yeah. All right. So 5 and 6. And like we're all guilty of this. I think is where I left off. Forcing help on people, even where we're like, oh my god, like this person needs help. They may not want it. That's the thing. And sometimes people are in a state where even if it seems like, help would be beneficial to them, it might not be. Right. So forcing help upon someone upon a situation can do more harm than good. Right. And that was essentially the gist behind help. Did you guys hear that thunder?
Yeah. That was wild. I got my window up. Hang on a second.
Yeah, so it's funny. You just heard it, and it worked its way down this way. It's funny if anybody's watching. We all kind of live near each other. Like George and Bill live very close to one another. I'm about 10-15 minutes away from there, so I just heard it. Like you're like, did you just hear that? And then it took like 10 seconds. Then I heard it. That's funny.
Oh wait, did we lose George again, or did he just walk off somewhere?
I think he's there. He just turned his camera for a second. So
okay.
Yeah, sometimes it does that, or sometimes I might do it real quick, but no, I'm still here. I heard everything. Right. Thank God, cool. Man. But the weather will be that easy on us. But to go back to what you're saying though, because I know I missed a few of the stuff. So yeah, you say you did ketamine, like you're doing it like by like appointment, like you have to do like a session.
Yeah, so it was a 6-session. It was a 6-session treatment. I had 6 sessions, and my last session was about a month ago.
Yeah, man. So it was very recent. Very recent.
Yeah. And this is the first time I'm really talking about it on like an open forum. I have a couple close friends who are familiar, but you guys, this is the first time I'm talking about it like out in the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said, man, we're honored to have you here to release this and like talk about this to everybody out here. Excited, man. So session
I know
5,
about
man.
them.
You said session 5. You said it was kind of building your ego back up, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, building my ego back up and kind of like reminding me how to properly help somebody.
Okay.
You know, and not doing it from a place of self-fulfillment, but doing it from a place of general selflessness.
Awesome.
You know, and trying to lean in that direction. And now, whereas session 6 is where my ego, they really took my ego and raised me back up. Thank God, because if they left me a broken disaster, that would have been a mess.
Brought it back to life.
Yeah. So with session 6, I can kind of keep session 6 brief. It was actually really, really cool though. So session 6, I see all essentially get pulled back into this dimension that I'm in. And I see all the beings that I talk to sitting around this table. And, you know, the golden idol, the cat, the purple cow, the cloud guy. You know, and, you know, they all kind of touched on what their lessons were. You know, the idol, you know, showed me my tenets. The cloud guy taught me how to live. The purple cow humbled me a lot. And the cat being kind of taught me how to properly send help out into the world. And then I said, I was like, I don't know how I can do this. And I was like, you know, I was like, you guys are, you know, from, you know, whether you're real or not, you guys are interdimensional beings. You are some kind of deity or God or something.
Yep. Exactly
And
what it is.
yeah, and I'm like, you guys can easily do this, whereas I can't. Like, I'm just a person. I can do my best. And they actually said two things that stuck with me. They said, with existence comes power. And they said, you are powerful because you exist. And I was like, okay. And so at least from what I got from that was, we all have the innate ability to be powerful beings simply because we have existence.
We have
Now,
life.
Yeah, whether or not
in this existence, in this consciousness, you know.
Exactly, in this space. So whether or
In
not we take
or mass in space.
So
right. It's like your brain's connected to your existence, right? Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, and that was pretty much, that was session 6. And they told me that in the end, like right before it ended, they always have like a tendency to say interesting things right as it ends. But I went through all that, and they said, now it's your job to take what we taught you out into the world. And I was like, I'll do my best. And then I woke up.
Wow.
Interesting.
So real quick, Bill.
Yeah.
I missed almost the whole show conversation till like a few minutes ago, like 10 minutes ago. But a lot of stuff you're saying though makes sense. And I feel like I kind of like been in myself. Maybe not, you know, through prescribed ketamine or through some kind of like medical trial, condition. I did it for other reasons, but I did ketamine once. Like I think I mentioned it before. In America, but it's totally different. It was more just, you know, for the environment, atmosphere I was in. It was a big party of the kids out there watching music and eating, you know, and I was working at the time, but I was watching the festival, of course, and I got to be there. And apart from like weed, I mean, everybody else doing everything else. I remember just smoking a lot that day, but yeah, people are definitely, you know, everybody around there. I mean, whether there's pills or not, it's the only festival, though, the police will let you bring in all kinds of drugs and kids, you know, get fucked up. I mean, and it's not just kids, it's people all ages, but now thinking about it, now that I'm a little older, I probably wouldn't do that. I much more rather do the Roots picnic, which is what I want to do this year, hopefully. But Main America is where everybody goes, and I mean, ketamine is like nothing there. I mean, everybody got like some kind of vitamin, get it? Oh, they got that perico. My boy got it in there, went out, came back in, snuck in with a bunch of, you know, like a nice amount of coke, and he found some too. And he started acting a little stupid. But he acted weird. He started talking about astral projection. A bunch of kids are doing this and dancing the day together. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You know, like that's not how you do it. And then he's talking about his thing. I was like, yo, anybody trying to hear? Those girls are probably messed up, you know, head right now. I mean, they want to, you know, they're all high their mind. They're smoking, they're drinking, they're, you know, doing some kind of ketamine or something. They're thinking something else. Talking about astrology and, you know, astral projection and just going like something taking you in the air, like like as if you're doing a psychedelic trip. And they're talking about watching music. They're watching music. They're worshiping this musician in front of them. The beat got their mind. I mean, music can put a spell in your mind. For those that actually don't know about this, so I'm like, they're not hearing you, dog. And I told them, And then I remember like shit, at one point he even pissed me off. And I mean, they only called him because he had the blunts, so he could come in and bring some weed for us.
Yeah.
So it was just one of those things. But yeah, he was doing too much of like, just relax. It's like you're in a place you're probably never come again. I said, you're only lucky because we brought you here, me specifically. So yeah, I don't know. He was just, I think he was doing the wrong thing at the, like, it's kind of like the wrong thing, wrong time, or the right thing, just at the wrong time. Because at the moment, it wasn't like they were just chilling in the line, eating food, and he's talking to a couple of girls, and they're talking about astrology and this whole other dimension or whatever they're talking about, whatever he's trying to, in his mind, perceives that he thinks he's talking about, or what he thinks he's talking about, he's telling the girls that. They're not hearing you, bro. If you're in line, chilling, walking, doing a little stroll within America, within the whole, the borders, and when they got the trucks and the gates, it's one thing. But when you're in a concert, in a big line there with people, it's loud. I don't know what you think, just enjoy the weed and, yeah, it was just one of those things. But that's the first time I ever, actually did some ketamine. It was like in 2018. I did like twice, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, did you? I mean, so you said it was mostly the environment. Did you get to see any weird hallucinations, or is that
no? Because that's the whole thing, bro. I could give you many reasons and make it quick too. Number one, it was too many. Like, I took a small amount. Number two, I don't think I did it right. Number three, it wasn't really. It was something to get you more groovy. I don't know if it was the one you're talking about. It was definitely ketamine, but it's more like if you see something. I was worried, you might see something. Like I was told that possibly you might hallucinate. Also, I had experience with psychedelics way before that. So whatever I don't see there, when I've done things that are stronger, it's like it's kind of like you can see an exotic cat or a puma, but if you see a lion, you see the biggest cat there is. So I've experienced with other ones, but I just want to kind of try it. I was just really mostly stoned that night because I was just working, and at that point I didn't care as much. It was on Sunday, so it was the second day of in America, 2018. The last one I really worked in like that, and so it was a few years ago. And yeah, I mean, I remember I did it, and I don't know, somebody's telling the wrong thing. They were like, you're supposed to somebody's fucking me. He's like, you're supposed to sniff it. So I was like, smell it. He's like, no, you just take it. He said, and I just took it, and he got me groovy. I didn't get to see a lot of that like you're talking about, but in other experiences, I seen exactly what you're talking about. Like it's almost like you learn something, and what you do with it, it's your business now. Seek it, you shall find. You're out there in his parallel universe, in your mind, some kind of subconscious sleep. Although you're not sleeping, your eyes might be open, but you want to keep them closed usually. And you're seeing stuff and shapes and things, and you're imagining things, or you're seeing things that you might not see if you're regular. And all you're doing is opening your third eye and your chakra. That's all you're doing. Other than that, you're not really, it's not like you're just imagining, but your imagination can become like a reality, and you're definitely seeing something that you don't see. So I would say there's something there. It's just that there is not here where we are right now. I see it right now. There, it's like somewhere else when you're, when you're doing something like that, like, some kind of acid or, I don't know, ketamine or DMT or something like that. Something potent.
That's cool though, man. You had so what was your overall message would you say you took from your experiences, man? Because like the beginning, it was kind of, it gave you the message like that to live and to help, and then your ego kind of got crushed in 3 and 4, then 5 and 6 it was kind of building that back up and then giving you the message to take out into the world, man. So what was like your main thing you took from this? This was recent too, so it was a month ago, man. So what's your experience been like since?
Yeah, so look, I'm not gonna lie, after, reality has been interesting to be a part of, to say the least, after those sessions. But I would say that the biggest lesson that I got, and as simple as this is going to sound, I think it's I think honestly this was my issue to begin with, but I mean outside of the actual physical issues, but I think I wasn't living the life that I was meant or wanted to live.
I like that. That's true. It's interesting.
Yeah, and once you kind of get yourself on the right path, you feel a huge difference in your attitude, your mentality, your thought processes. Everything is way different once you start doing the things that you feel like that you are meant to accomplish what you want to do. it really does change your just regular daily life. Even like in the morning when I wake up, I feel different as opposed to, let's say a month ago when, oh my God, trying to get out of bed was an absolute disaster.
Right. It's been like a perspective and like mental shift from what happened before that. So your mental state coming into the new year was in a completely different spot than you would probably say where it is right now.
Yeah, and honestly, I would say I started off the new year in a worse position than I have been in previous years. So that kind of hit me hard, and then like mentally, my mental health regressed drastically. It was kind of on the decline over the last couple of years because growing up and we're all guys, we all do this thing like, oh no, I can change it myself. But then you actually find out that like, no, dude, your brain isn't shaped the right way. Like your pathways are off. Like we got to fix this so you can fix yourself.
Right.
So, and to any guys listening, it's hard to admit sometimes when you need help. So, but if you get help the right way, and it can really drastically. I wish I got this, and I wish this happened in high school. If this, I feel like I'd be in a much different position than I am now if I took care of this even like 5 years ago, even 2 years ago.
Right. It would have just it would have opened your mind up into a whole nother perspective, essentially. What was the name of the spot again? Because you said it was in Bryn Mawr. I know you said Bryn Mawr.
Yeah. Genesis Ketamine Centers.
Okay. Good to know, guys. So remember that if Genesis Ketamine Centers, Bryn Mawr, right? Bryn Mawr, PA.
Yeah, Bryn Mawr, PA. Yep. Oh wait, oh no, I'm sorry, Ballackinwood. Ballackinwood. Yeah, Ballackinwood. I said Bryn Mawr. It's Ballackinwood. I'm sorry about that.
All right, no problem, man. Ballackinwood, PA. Genesis Ketamine Centers.
Yep.
Good to know, man. That's awesome. Though. Here's the thing: like you actually went and you made the effort to actually, do something about it, which is great, man. Like, and you were able to have this experience now because of it.
Yeah, great. I mean, I would not trade those experiences for anything. They were something else.
Oh man, it sounds like it, dude. Damn, that's a hell of a story, man.
We gotta talk more about this behind the scenes, Bill. But I gotta definitely check it out. But we can go sometime, man. And yeah, I mean, I feel you, Ned, dude. Like, it's definitely like even for me, it was like doing some of these different experiences. It was more for like kind of like the greater cause, so to speak. Like what I was gonna learn from it. It was the first time I didn't know what I was getting into really, and then I got kind of put onto that kind of world. And it's more about, like you said, bro. It's more like it's kind of like self-taught, self-learning, self-healing, helping others. Trying to show something or something really fascinating, interesting to the world. But it's a lot more than just doing like, being on a hippie type of time and moving. I'm just doing some drugs. I'm just gonna do some shrooms. You might do it for a different reason.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to party and kind of like get their hands on it. Some of them don't even know what it means. A lot of people don't know about this stuff. When I tell them, they heard about like maybe like salvia or or like acid or shrooms, but they haven't heard a lot about like ketamine or like certain other, like even cactus, the cactus plant.
Yeah, and no, and like what you said, like, so this kind of ties in. You might go and take it for like if you go and take a drug like that to party, you're going to party. You're not going to get the same experience as me going into the doctor's office and taking ketamine and where I'm going in. Intention, I feel like intention does matter. It does affect how you're going to
pursue it or right. Intention. No, you're right. Because they say even about when people do ayahuasca or like EMT or what do you call it, like acid and sativa or salvia and some of these other shit. They so all these psychedelics, right? They say that like what's your expectations, it's what you learn and how you go into it. On the environment, also who you're around. If you do some of this stuff, you got to definitely be careful, and you don't want to, mess your health up or mess around. But if you feel like you're ready and you're mentally there, it's also got to do with your mental. Some people are mentally scarred, and they might do this. It might help them. I'm not sure. You said you had your own reasons for doing it. Obviously it's a little different. But after the first few times, I guess you got to know more about it. Because, yeah, man, I got experience with this, and I got something here somewhere. I don't know where it is. I got to find it. It's a paper that I wrote down a lot of my experience. When you do, about DMT, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When they do the DMT trip, it's called the breakthrough. When they just break through it, and when you don't, they call it the waiting room because it means like you didn't do enough to experience it farther, disattachment from subconsciousness. Although you're still conscious, it's just that you're not in this reality. You're in a different world of reality, and it's hard, man. I mean, it's very tricky. I mean, to say the least, it's definitely very profound. It's a very deep experience. It's almost like telling somebody, well, you can't tell the blind when it needs to be colors, or if you're colorblind, you have to kind of just show it to them. And the way to do it is explain it a certain way where people can kind of, I guess, get it. Of course, there's videos of simulations and of reenactment imitation that people have. And just like the perspective, because no one could be inside somebody's head it's like in your mind, your body, your soul, It's really,
Oh, absolutely.
a funny thing is, bro, not funny, but interesting. One time when I actually had that experience like that one time, I saw like those diagrams. You see the doctor's office and all that. You see that the human body, it's ridiculously like fascinating, creepy, cool, and different at the same time. It's like you go inside of a human body and you see everything, like everything from the brain cells to the organs to then you see like a body the way you'd see it at a doctor's office when you're just chilling like this with your hands by your knees and you're just like waiting for the next nurse after she done measured you and see how tall you are and your height and your eyes and okay, your ears are good. Okay, hold on, I'm gonna get the doctor. Let me go in. And she leaves and you just in a room in the little. You see those diagram boxes in the wall. That's exactly what it was like.
Oh wow.
And by the way, I asked other people that have done like had experiences like yourself, you know what I mean, or have done those kind of things, and they told me the same thing. They actually have seen something like that. So it wasn't just me, like just because I just saw it somehow. It's a pretty common experience. Yeah. I mean, I had a lot of experiences. It's hard to say. Another one that I saw, bro, was you guys. So both you guys are familiar with the what is it? Isn't it Da Vinci's? Leonardo da Vinci's The Perfect Man. It's like a logo of like a man with long hair. He's kind of built like this with the arms like this, like that, and he's got also the arms diagonal like this, and the legs a little spready open. So he's got like 4 legs and 4 arms because he shows that old school classic sort of like logo picture, which was by the way from the Renaissance age. Well, I saw that, and I don't know. I just saw that like it was like my second to last time, whenever, because I did it back to back one time in 2018. So I did it, took a break, and did it again. You know what I mean? And that's what I saw. I don't know. So I guess that just means like you can interpret it many ways. It's hard to kind of explain. Just like the perfect man. I mean, in my case, maybe like I'm trying to be like the perfect man. Maybe it's like every man, should be like that. It's the ideal person you're gonna be. But obviously, it's like it's like it's the kind of, again, it's like a silhouette with a guy with long hair, kind of, but he's a classic one. And it ties a lot because a lot of times you will see a lot of things of like theology, psychology, history, laws of attraction, laws of the universe, spiritual world, and more, and history, and enlightenment, all in like a matter of 20 minutes, 15 minutes. It lasts anywhere between 7 to 15 minutes, but I'm not sure about ketamine, but other psychedelics, it's how much they last. But you see a lot though. It's very fast. You got to write it down. After a while, you do forget things. You got to really, you could, some things you'll never forget. You always kind of remember them as if when you happen right in there with Earth time, as opposed to like psychedelic tripping time. But you remember it, but it's definitely like 15 minutes, 10 minutes. Because I remember I saw my watch, and I was kind of like, I was just laying on the couch and I did it, and I woke up and I was like, I think I've done enough. I said, yeah.
Oh wow.
That's crazy, man. Hell of an experience. I haven't had the experience, man, but it's just it's interesting to hear.
Yeah, I didn't hear a lot of Bill's experiences, so I don't know. Maybe I probably don't have all the time in the world because we got to probably wrap it up at some point. But I guess you can repeat a few of them, or you can tell me another time. But it sounds like you have definitely a very, very intense and very up there trip. You learn a lot, and you said there's kind of like some different sort of like in this subconscious world you're in, or your mindset, like different like deities or things you saw, like characters. There's videos on YouTube you can actually watch about that too. That tells explains it. If you see the video, you recognize something you saw to a video, that means that it was really like the trip was actually worth something. It wasn't just like just nothing, like a trip.
Oh wow, I'll have to see if I can find my deities anywhere else.
Yeah, well, again, on YouTube, I know, because a lot of guys talk about this. There's a whole community, a whole group. There's groups on Facebook and Instagram about these, like you groups. You get a acid astrology groups, and all kinds of like groups where people will in fact engage with this kind of drugs, psychedelic compounds, aka human drugs, because they are part of human anatomy, or part of the human body. I know ketamine is like horse tranquilizer, but it can tranquilize humans too. It all depends how you do it. It doesn't mean if you do them you're fucking up your reality, bad person. Actually, some of these are good because DMT was used to get people off crack and off hardcore drugs and to make them relive again. Again, people that are lost, that they're like a lost cause or like a junkie or some kind of crack, you can actually help them to really find themselves, if you will, So
oh yeah, oh wow, I didn't know that.
It's not like it's in red. Check out Dr. What's his name? Rick Strassman. I think he's the leading doctor on this, if I'm not mistaken. Rick Strassman. Yeah, it says it's him because Joe Rogan narrated the one episode or the one documentary on DMT, but there's a couple other ones, and Rick Strassman is the leading authority of DMT around the world, and he talks about inside a lot of things. Another big name, and this goes for psychedelics, including what you were talking about. I mean, Terrence McKenna. Terrence McKenna.
Okay.
You heard of him? You never heard? Check him out. You too, Steve.
Yeah.
Should look him up. Very like, I mean, just the guy's voice was like, whoa, dude. Like he seems like I'm in a book or like a narrating book where like time is going like, time is going, catch the wave. If not, you left behind. That shit is crazy. He's like, you go in his wind world, and this is like wind world, and he like takes you, and his voice and with the way they put the music, it's so like it's like creepy yet mysterious and yet really cool. And I was like, okay. Watch this shit tonight. You can fuck with you a little bit, but not too bad. Though. It's not, it's probably way worse watching a scary movie, honestly. But.
Yeah, I'll have to check it. I'll have to check him out. But you know what? I feel like I should say this, real just for the sake of the show. I did this under the supervision of a doctor. This was not ketamine I went and got over at K&A. I did this under the supervision of a doctor.
Of course.
And whatnot. So.
You were in a controlled environment.
You were in a controlled environment. Yeah.
Exactly. It's all about environment, where you are, your state of mind at the moment. Not only the environment, but also like you can say like the interacting people around you. Now you can do it on your own, which is a little different, but the people around you, there is no opportunity for mistake really. You're not in harm's way. There's no harm or there any predicament or occasion for harm. Because some people do like, for example, stuff in the woods. Well, you gotta, but you might trip worse though. So you gotta also realize when and where and who's around you, but with the right people. I mean, with a doctor, that's even come on, man. There you go. You cannot get safer than that. So that was a good move to do it. I did it with somebody understood that, and people actually, a lot of people even here from America, they go to like Peru and like Ecuador, and they'll do it there. Or in Brazil, with Southern Native Americans, do it for religious purposes. And they'll do it with like a shaman or somebody, an expertise, has expertise in that, like an expert. Here, of course, you might do it with like a good friend of yours that knows about it a lot, though. So the more you read about it, you start doing research, and you've done it, the more you can say. I mean, by no means am I an expert, but I know. I mean, I have a good idea, about these kind of things.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm an expert. I'm just a guy who tripped a lot.
You tripped a lot. Right. Sit here. Yeah. I've done quite a few. I don't know, but I think I might be okay with like as far as the acid goes. The DMT I'll probably do again at some point, but I just don't know when though. I mean, but right now I'm okay. Like I really don't feel like there's no need for me to do any kind of trip, to be honest. Like right now, but I mean, sometimes, bro, you got to find the right opportunity, occasion, time, where you at with it. If you feel like you should engage in it, I mean, I want to do more research and learn from. Like, it's why I enjoy this kind of conversation with someone like you that has done it. It's good to like hear your perspective and understand, see if I could associate anything with it. But also, what experts, like there's so much you can learn, bro. And real quick, guys, not to backtrack, Steve talked about last episode, which was the whole Will Smith around the world thing with Chris Rock. But I watched a video that talked about that. It was a professional body, body language expert. He was talking about it, and that right there tells you a lot, bro. Honestly, watching it could be like, if people are saying are fake, or the people that are talking, you can see that and be like, okay, maybe it's not as fake. Because I actually peeped this other night. When you see that thing happen, you can see it's almost like Chris Rock goes like this a little, like he's a reaction right then and there. That's how you know it's not fake. So please, guys, leave the expert and understand what they're talking about and what the fuck they're talking about. Let them talk and don't follow. I mean, as much as like these other guys, and I like the perspective. Oh, it's fake because of this and because they're good actors. It takes more than just being a good actor. So forget what the media and other guys like ourselves, the podcasters, are telling you. Rappers do podcasts, the shows. No, go by what the experts are saying. People that are studying it, behavioral experts, psychology experts, just see by the tone of voice, but the movement. That's what I'm saying. Again, it's got to do with science here. We're not talking about opinions or just takes. Could be fake, but I think it's real. And again, I'm watching this video. I was looking at it like, okay, yeah, some very excellent points that I didn't see at first, Contact, not to mention Will Smith looks at him real quick. He hits him, looks for like a quick sec. He's like this. He's ready. Like, what are you gonna do? And then he walks right away. He doesn't do this and just turn around right away. Pay attention, guys. Everybody jumping to conclusions with that. After watching the videos, it's like I stopped kind of watching it. I moved on from the whole topic, but I kind of looked at the video and the guy that was talking about it seemed very, very accurate. I'll just say that he was very accurate, and he took his time to pick up small things. The whole laugh thing. It could be anything. People laugh when they're nervous. There's laughs like haha, like you just like whatever, like you just think it's kind of funny, but you're not amused, but it's like whatever. You just like you laugh it off. Some people laugh just kind of just do it. It's like whatever. Some people laugh because they're nervous. Some people laugh because they want to trick you. To be like, oh, I'm laughing to come and spit the shit out you, but they laugh the whole time to make it seem like they're okay with it. People laugh like a little nervous laugh. So study people's behaviors, man. Don't just assume what you see. It's a lot more than meets the naked eye. There's a lot more than meets the naked eye. Yeah.
It's a good
But
point.
yeah, that's all.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Very good point.
Man, I was interested. That was a hell of a story, man. Hell of a lesson. If you guys want for like the last 10-15 minutes, I know we put some Muay Thai in here. If you guys want to share some experiences, because I know both of you have done it at some point. So, man.
Well, before we move to that, real quick, I actually do want to get to that, but because I
Okay.
wasn't here from the beginning, I just want to ask Bill a few questions. So the first few times, but how did you get into it? If you don't mind repeating, just 2 minutes, and then how did you get into it? So basically, and what was it like the first few times, and how does it compare to some other things you've done? Maybe like some other experience, or it's a little bit extraordinary, or that's more more deep, so to speak, than opposed to just smoking weed or who can get drunk or whatever.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I got into this.
3-part question.
Yeah, I kind of went. So I got into this because ketamine is used to treat mental health nowadays. They've recently started doing that. That's kind of how I got into that. And so what the ketamine does is it rewires certain pathways in your brain to try and get your brain to use the new pathways as opposed to the ones that aren't working correctly or misfiring or what have you. So that's kind of like how I got into it and why I started, as opposed to what it's like compared to other things. So right when you wake up, you're a little out of it. Like, honestly, I feel like I smoked like a pound of weed. Like, I was like floating. I couldn't really walk by myself. I had to steady myself a little bit, and you're not allowed to drive, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, why would you drive in a situation like that? But now, hang on 1 second. If I can slow you down for a second, you said when you did it, it's like you woke up. Do you mean like you woke up the next day, or you mean like you did it? It feels like you just woke up and you were a little stumbly, like, oh, okay, I'm a little,
Oh yeah. So each session was 45 minutes.
With a doctor, that's right.
Yeah, 45 to an hour. So it depends, but yeah, each session was about 45 minutes to an hour. So I woke up. So if I went in at 4, and I usually woke up maybe 10 after. So let's call it an hour and 10. I would wake up at 10 or 10 after 5 or 10 after 6. But yeah, I would get up and I was a little I couldn't find my balance. The room would spin a little bit. The noises sounded really weird. Like, everything kind of sounded like it was at a higher frequency. So I would hear cars drive by, or car horns honk outside, or jackhammers outside after I woke up, and they all sounded, they were 5 or 6 ranges higher. Everything sounded even
way louder, right?
No,
or distant.
No, the frequency was different. So a jackhammer sounds like this, but when I woke up, I was hearing it like it was higher, like it was
higher pitch, the frequency, correct? No, that's right. Yeah, I heard about that too. Okay,
so that was really weird.
One of the things, and it's okay. So you got into, you said you did it because it was through to a doctor, and you needed it at the time. It was prescribed to you, or how did you even really end up
Yeah, so you know what? It was suggested to me by my therapist. Go take a look. She was like, go take a look. It's new. Just do some research. She's like, just see what you can do. So I went and I Googled it, and I found this place, and so it's actually kind of funny. So I had the initial consultation, and I mean, it's funny, but it's kind of funny. I had the initial consultation, and we're talking, and the guy's like, yeah, he's like, so have you used medication before? And I was like, no, I really didn't know I needed it. And I went to a psychiatrist once before, and it was 5 minutes into my first appointment. She gave me a laundry list of things that I apparently needed. And I was taken aback. I was like, whoa, no, you're just trying to sell me medication, get out of here. But now I'm like, oh man, maybe she was just really onto something. But
could have been.
Yes, seriously. But yeah, so I told him that, and he was like, all right. And then he, I had to take this test. He asked me a lot of questions, and I'm not going to go over the questions because they're a little bit intense and kind of personal at some points. Yeah. And he's like, all right, man. He's like, well, normally you would get disqualified just because you denied medication in the past. And he goes, but your case is pretty severe, so we're going to bring you in. I was like, oh, thanks. So yeah, I get a laugh that out of all the people that go and they try, because they turn a lot of people down. You know, just based off not having the medication, that I was fucked up enough that they were like, oh my God, like you need to get in here. The guy was like, yeah, can you come in next week? Like I was like, yeah, like he like rushed me in the door. So that's funny to me. I mean, I laugh at it thinking about it, but you know,
So
That's funny as
yeah,
hell.
it's kind of interesting. It's almost like you kind of needed it. It just happened to be the right place, right time, kind of by chance a little, and then you did it. And then of course, you said I kind of made you feel a certain way. Now, the first few times you did it, right? You said you felt a little like everything was like a little different range of, kind of like of hearing, of the frequency, maybe motion. Even you said you kind of like felt like you couldn't really drive. You somebody to help you out. At what point did you feel like start seeing like a hallucination, like hallucinating or seeing something that you might not see? Like having like a vision, having like a whole trip or a whole almost like a psychedelic trip. You know what I mean? Like when did you get everything kind of got trippy with you? Was it the third time or second time?
No, yeah. So the first time I got I met a giant golden idol that told me, my tenets in life were to live and to help, and that's how I was supposed to live. That's kind of how everything kind of snowballed. So hallucinations kind of started about 5 minutes in, but they started off very, very basic, and I would kind of just like see like flashes of green and blue. Those were the colors that I saw. But then about 5 minutes after that is when it picked up in intensity and everything really snowballed forward.
5 minutes in, yeah. See,
about
some stuff is different, but like I said, ketamine is a little different. But certain things, bro, you get it 5 seconds in. You might be like, once you feel it, you feel like you stop smoking, and you close your eyes, and I mean, everything's now you're on now, like you're on basically. It's psychological, physical, spiritual world. It's physical stuff, kind of like details. People always ask like doctors in offices, like before they do it, are you scared of roller coasters? Yes, if you're scared of like of moving heights, moving, it's like a roller coaster way. Because you feel like it's almost like a body experience, something, you know what I mean? Depending on what that is. Yeah, man, tight, man. Interesting, though. Bill definitely had some good stories there, man. We definitely share stories. Other episode on this, to be honest. We could have a whole other episode, maybe. There's a lot to talk about here.
Yeah, it was definitely an experience.
Right. When did you start doing it? Like, how long ago did you start doing it? Was it years ago or recently?
No, it was a month ago.
Yeah, a month ago. My last session was a month ago. It was a 6-week. Did we lose him?
I don't know. Yeah, his Wi-Fi's seems like it's acting up a little bit. Can you hear us, George?
Sorry, I lost you guys for a second.
Word. We can hear you slightly. Yeah, his session was a month ago. Crazy, man.
Yeah, it was 6 weeks. I started.
Yeah, he's coming in delayed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when was your actual? So a month ago, and then when was your actual? So 6 weeks ago, and then when was your actual start date?
You know what? I mean, I could probably scroll through and find that. But let's see. What month is it now? It's April.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like right after the new year.
Yeah, so I would say like late February, maybe early March was yeah, no, because it was late February. That was my first session. It was like February 24th, something along those lines.
Okay. Oh, so this is really recent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's actually pretty recent. It's not even like as you said like February, so it's like this year basically, like 3 months ago, 2 months ago. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my last.
Even really. It was post 2021. It was post December. So yeah. Okay. Man, everything happens for a reason, bro. It's
Sorry,
something new.
What were you saying, Bill? You were saying your last.
I was just saying, no, my last session was March 25th or something along those lines. So yeah, this is like brand new.
Wow.
Very
recent.
Yeah.
Crazy, man. What a change, dude. So like when you were doing the
what direction? I mean, the doctor said you gotta take this, take this, a different experience. You see things that you work from different perspectives. You might just use many things. He can help you see things that it's more clear. That's the thing with it, but it just gives you a lot of wisdom, really. He helps you a lot in many ways. He really can change your life. Some people can take it the wrong way, but no matter what, he can be the worst person ever. You must be humble. The ego is the death of the ego. You really gotta like with that. At the same time, a lot of shit that happens. All at once. It's time you watch your ego feeling, your heart rate, what you sees, you grow up, your past memory, your nutrition, that you can do a lot of things. You know, that's the thing. People have talked about doing the DMT or feeling like having like a connection to the past or thinking about the, you know what I mean? Like some
Yeah.
memories or something like
I was gonna say, Bill. So when you did the miles challenge and everything, that was back in like January. We're starting to see you were in a whole different spot then.
Dude, so in January, I mean, so I'm still going through my miles. I gotta fix them. I'm still going through with them. I'm obviously gonna finish that. $225 was raised. I gotta run those miles. I'm at like 45 miles right now. I have to look at my tracker. But
okay.
but I so something that but I'm at it's kind of like it's a little embarrassing to be honest, but so I would go through periods of extreme high followed by periods of extreme low, and not just like, oh, like you gradually got there. Like one day I would wake up and it was just like, I'm gonna do everything, and then you know, maybe like a week or a month later I would wake up and be like, I can't move. So or like sometimes it was the differences happened in like the span of a day, and I was going through I had like a manic episode, and that's when I started my my runs. Wow, can't call them runs. That sounds bad. But that's when I started my miles. And so I mean at least something, you know, and most of the time something good would come out of it. Like I would start a really good project and I would eventually finish it, but you know, something like I would make some very impulsive decisions. And so it's so sometimes it's tough in that regard.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. So we have a comment that came in and said, Bill, thanks for sharing. Very interesting. I tried acid one time only and the curb was melting. Your hallucinations at another level. I think I know who this might be. Ironically, let me see. Yeah, this is my guy Todd. I know because he had shared this experience before. I had a feeling I knew who this was. He said he did acid one time and the curb was melting. Hallucinations
Oh, wow.
when he did acid. Oh man, yeah. I think your hallucinations just to take it to another level with the ketamine, but obviously that was a controlled environment. Can you imagine if you weren't in a controlled environment that stuff happened?
Oh my God.
You don't want to do that either.
Oh, George, you're back.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, it was just like stop.
Slightly.
It was lagging, but I could get everything though. But yeah, I was saying if you're not in a controlled environment, man, it could be pretty bad. I mean, somebody trust, you could freak out. You could be a hazard to yourself at this point. See, some psychedelics are different. You could probably do it on your own after a few times, but also you got to feel how comfortable you are with them. And it's not wise to do them too much, but for prescribed therapy, which is will kind of fall under for ketamine, I mean, you might need somebody there with you, unless if you feel like you do it, Bill, and you can just like lay in your bed for a little bit, and then you'll be fine until you come down a bit, you know. But yeah, man, it's interesting. You said there's periods of being extreme high and extreme lows.
yeah, I mean that was kind of like that was actually my mental state for a long time. I
Like
kind
up
of
and down,
had,
right?
yeah, and some like very erratic, and like when I was in my highs, I'd make very impulsive decisions. You know,
Yeah.
do like really
Wow.
off the wall shit. But when I was in my lows, I couldn't do anything. So
Yeah. Well, that's the
Crazy.
that's what helps.
Yeah, man. So that yeah, thanks for sharing, man. That's a crazy experience. It's good to kind of see what you went through, man. Thank you for sharing with everyone on here. Do you guys for like 10 minutes want to talk like
Yeah.
some Muay Thai before we
So,
head
we
off?
kind of stuff. Yeah. We'll
Share
definitely
some
get into that.
experiences.
Wasn't
Man,
gonna
so
say.
Bill,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Bill, when did you start? So yeah, Bill, if you guys don't know, like he also has some experience with Muay Thai, Muay Thai as well, the fighting style. So he has a little bit of experience with that, as does George. Man, when did you kind of get started with that? It was a long time ago, right?
yeah, so I started martial arts. I feel like everyone starts off their martial arts journey in Taekwondo at like age 10. I think that's everyone. So I started off Taekwondo at age 10. Really just had a affinity for it. I had a drawing and I was just drawn to it. I did that from probably like 10 to 13. And And then I did every now and then I would go check out. I had a couple buddies who boxed, so I would like work out with them at their gyms and kind of like test things out along the way. And then I found the MMA gym when I was like 16. So from ages like 16 to 22 is when my training really took off.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Interesting, bro. Back in the day, so you started in 08, no, 09, right? You started around 09, you said?
Well, yeah.
Bill?
So how long? 16. Yeah. I guess that is. Oh my God. Yeah, it is 08, 09. I was like, no way. God, George just made me feel old. Yeah.
Sorry, if you're old, man, shit. I'm gonna you. I'm just good with the dates, man. I mean, trust me. Because I remember when Rocco was training, when they had Rocco's MMA.
Yeah, that was the gym that
Rocco's MMA. So I remember in like 09, like I remember like they had it like since like 08, but I remember the peak years were like 09, 2010, 2011. Then things just changed over time, everything kind of changed. But
yeah,
because you see, my one boy Pat Mackey and a couple guys from Rocco's. Now here's a question I want to ask you. The other day I didn't get to ask you. When you because Pat went to a fight sport, did you go there with Pat? And when was the date? Was it around 2011? You went there?
Yeah, it was probably around that time. I didn't move to fight sports, but Pat was my buddy, so he would take me to train there a couple days every now and then, work on some jiu-jitsu, stuff like that.
You would go there sometime. Yeah, no, but he started going there. I think he left Rocco's, went there, and that's why he trained with Matt Turnbull. And that's when, I knew Pat before that, but I seen him at the other gym too. So I might have seen you though. That's what I'm saying. Me and you might have been in the same gym. I don't remember exactly, but there's a possibility we probably trained, but not really directed together. It's probably like a group training session at the gym. Fight sport was pretty small, but it was tight. I mean, it was a nice facility. Definitely good fighters there. A lot of good trainers came and went there. At one point, it was a lot of big names that are going there, and then everybody kind of split and don't think. Pat eventually ended up leaving. One of my coaches kind of came by there, took over. If you went to fight sport in those years, Bill, you would definitely then remember or at least know there was two guys that kind of ran the place, helped run it. Mike Winkler, former cop, Philly PD, and Anthony Galliano. They were the two coaches there, and Pat was training through them basically. It was Pat, okay. It was Matt Turnbull, it was a guy named Javi, because Pat beat a guy named Javi, and then later on joined that gym because he had a fallout with Rocco's, I guess. So.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what happened. There was some kind of weird drama that took place. Yeah,
something along those lines. Don't get into too much, but yeah, I think he just switched gyms. It was better for him at the time, and he came to our spot where I was training at, and then you probably, like you said, you came with him, because Matt Turnbull, he didn't meet him there. He met him through when he came to Fight Sport. That's when he met Turnbull, and that's his boy. I mean, Pat trained a lot of those guys. I mean, so did I, though, but I helped a lot of those guys prepare. I mean, it was Matt's brother was there. He was young at the time. There was a guy named Steve, or my boy Don Morell. He just got married recently. And he was in the military, so salute my boy Dom Morell. I was holding pads for Dom in 2011 when I first went there, early 2011. Early, until January, February. I went there. It was late January, February, and I only went to Fight Sport through my boy. His name is George Mateo. He's the one that brought me there. He's like, yo, come through. There's a gym. He's being sponsored by the Alvarez and some fighters that go there. The guy is legit. It was some big time coach like Galliano. He was a professor in BJJ and Muay Thai, and that's how I went there. But of course, I had done Muay Thai and BJJ and wrestling and MMA and kickboxing and all that way before I even went to that gym. I was just at the time I needed another gym to go kind of and focus a little bit on MMA, and that's just how I started. So it was interesting, man, because you was probably there when I was there, but after Pat probably stopped going, you probably only went a few times, right?
Yeah, as I say, I only went because me and Pat stayed close. We had a couple situations I would actually go and train in his basement every now and then. We'd do some jiu-jitsu in his basement.
Yeah, I've trained there before.
Yeah. We definitely ran into each other at one point in the past.
We probably did. I've not even seen you through Pat. I feel like I probably met you through him, but I just, like I said, don't recall because you look a little familiar. So I don't know. It's probably not through Steve, but and then at the at Fight Sport, you probably said you probably went there. I went to Rocco's twice, but way before, probably before you were there. So I think if I seen you, we would have been at Fight Sport. It makes much more sense. Yeah. And Fight Sport was nice. It was tight. It was a nice gym. They opened up another gym. I think Galliano did up on what do they call it? Cotton in Frankfurt. It was called the Lions Den of all names. Mm-hmm. But it shut down, and he had it for a little. He told me I want to bring some guys here. He said mostly martial arts guys, serious guys, no bullshit. Not this, he said fighters that don't really want to train and blah blah blah. Or just want to be just all the serious guys and fighters. And I'm supposed to go there. Pat was supposed to go there too, but Pat he didn't make it the one day. I went there one time and I had done like a smoker day Muay Thai with one of my boys, except it was like a setup. They said we were going to spar and it did like a real match. Dude. That was definitely a setup.
Oh my
And me and this
god.
guy became good friends after us. Yeah, he's a good friend of ours. He looks, he comes at the he might come to the podcast. He watches the podcast, but we did a match, a Muay Thai match, if you will. It's kind of like a 3-rounder thing and smoker, whatever. It was like a setup, and then we were cool already, but became more cool after that. And then think of what happened. That gym, Lions Den, it was on a Cotman and Frankfurt. He got shut down because somebody robbed the gym. But I think it was the old owners. Something that happened with Professor Anthony Galliano, who was again Winkler's friend, Mike Winkler's friend, and he was one of told Pat to come through. Him and Winkler kind of like trained him when he came to a fight sport. When you probably came there too. So Galliano let me know that they robbed the place, and it looked like they probably just robbed it. But in reality, what happened was the people that were there before, bro, something miscommunication with the keys, and they just took their stuff back. So they ransacked the place. They must have had a little dispute without the scenes that the fighters didn't know about. I still didn't know about it. My other friend didn't know about it. Ed didn't know about it. Yeah. Steve, this is around the time, Steve. Remember I told you about Coach Bill when we come in the podcast? He took over for Galliano and Winkler around that time.
Yep, I remember.
Yeah, he came through. Yeah, Coach, Coach Bill. Then we went to another gym, which is around the corner from your house, which is NFF, Steve. But before we were there, because that's what happened. Pat left. What happened to Pat, Bill and Steve? You guys don't know. Pat got injured. Some fucking guy kind of injured him, and then the injury got worse again. That's why he kind of stopped for a little bit. It wasn't like he just wanted to stop. And because Pat's a fucking warrior, dude. He won the title.
Yeah.
He beat their guy, and he came out to the gym at Javi's dispense. Javi's my boy, but Pat came to the gym, and he beat him. He beat you, bro, fair and square. He won a decision. He won a title from you. Then he came to the gym, and that's how y'all started. It was, kind of like Pat took over a little bit there. He helped to teach some classes, and everything was cool, no problem. Everybody's, getting it in. But then, that shit happened. This was 2013 at this point. This is a little like a year or two after, about 2 years after Pat came to the gym. He ended up getting injured, didn't come to the place. The Lions Den got ransacked. I only trained at this Lions Den gym like 5 times, bro, and it was a very good place. Second floor, bro, in the middle of like the neighborhoods in Philly, great location, right near Martinez BJJ, actually.
Yeah,
like before it was Martinez, and it's a shame that we go in there, we seen the ransack, I seen everything. Like, look what happened. I was like, what? I remember later on, I had told him back then, those years, and years later, we were talking about it, we were laughing about it a little bit. But it's a shame that everything got robbed, and it could have been one hell of a gym. Let me just start by saying it was way bigger than the fight sport one you came to. There was a Tyson, Nor and Torresdale, around my old way. I grew up around there. Tacony, that's what I'm from, Tacony. It was way bigger than that. Lions Den made that place look like this small, bro.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that place was cool because they had Eddie Alvarez poster doing a choke with somebody, and they have some other fighters that were going there, so they're advertising it. But they only came there a few times, and everything kind of everybody kind of separated. Like Galliano, he had Eddie Alvarez come there a couple of times, but after a while, they stopped coming, and everybody kind of went their own way. But I will say one thing: a lot of good fighters came out that place, kind of myself included. Although I was already doing it before there, but when I was there, I was 23 to about 25. So yeah. But I was good. I was good there, but just I learned a lot there, and definitely training with Galliano and Winkler helped me. But when I brought my coach there, Coach Bill took over. That's my guy, my man, Bill Bryan. He took over the whole John. That's when things start showing me because he's teaching these dudes actually. There's a difference between Mike Winkler and what's his name? Galliano's guys teaching Muay Thai and Coach Bill teaching Muay Thai. He's a crew. He's trained with crews around the world.
Oh wow.
St. Chinese guys, bro. He's trained with some, some of the best coaches straight from Thailand. So this is authentic, not so much the American sort of Muay Thai that's a little more, modern version, more commercial, watered down. This is straight traditional and from Thailand, and the main version, but the more hardcore, style. Not just the $7 kids for a workout. People were competing, people were fighting in it. Some people wanted to do Muay Thai or kickboxing. And I didn't do it then. I only did a smoker, and I did a friendly match a few years later, in 2015. But that's when we had the guys. We had a guy named Malik Joe. He fought a guy named, what was his name? Kelly, something Kelly. I forgot his name, but he was good though. Malik Joe was really good, and he fought this kid, less than Kelly, and it was a draw. It was a hell of a fight. Both tall, lanky guys. Yeah, the sparring sessions there were legendary, but we had a couple matches. We had some setups, and I went to. I got pictures still, and I can go to my phone right now, and most of my pictures date back to 2013 on the phones I have. Before that, I gotta go to my old phone, and I got pictures in that gym from the damn. I'm telling you about. We sparred. We had a huge group session one time. We had 20 people in a small gym, and that was tough. We had fights in late 2013, all through 2014, up to 2015. But we actually Muay Thai, and there were Muay Thai fights. I think the elbows to the face were kind of not really allowed because of some cautions and some rules they did, but the elbows to the body were allowed.
Yeah.
Kicks, knees, punches, all of that, right? Head kicks, low kicks, headgear, of course, shin pads. Some guys were like 3 fights in, didn't have to wear headgear, but did have to wear shin pads and of course the mouthpiece and the cup. That's always mandatory.
Yeah.
And we did this couple of matches, and that's how it was. We did a couple. We did mostly
Bill,
kickboxing and Muay Thai.
Bill, I was gonna ask you, man. Do you know like what your record is like overall? Like,
Yeah, you know what? So my record is not impressive. So we can skip my record. No, so I started fighting way too early. I was not ready to start fighting. I shouldn't say physically I was, but mentally I was not ready to start fighting when I did. I was incredibly immature. So my record in my Muay Thai matches is 0-2, and I have a few jiu-jitsu tournaments. Yeah, I was always jiu-jitsu. I always finished in like my top 3, but I never won a tournament. Yeah. But but I was always I was a big partier growing up, so I would, go out, drink a ridiculous amount of alcohol, and then go train. The only time I didn't drink was like a week before my fight, and even then, like that affects everything. Still,
of course.
But
drinking can affect it, and smoking, like especially cigarettes, because the week of the fight, you do want to keep it clean as you can, and just I would say 2 weeks out, 2.5 weeks out, you want to, that's like you're peaking. The training is like there. And it all comes down to the fight night. Who's gonna be prepared? But if you have a fight coming up, bro, you gotta spar and train a certain way, especially for Muay Thai. My boy Bob Carson, Bob, Steve, because you met him here. We had him here a couple times. He's gonna do Bob's gonna do a kickboxing match, and I'm probably gonna corner him. And I might do one too, except that it might be kickboxing rules, not so much Muay Thai, but very similar, of course. So I might be doing one too. It's just that it falls near my birthday time, and I'm trying to do something for my birthday this year. But other than that, if I do one before or after my birthday, I'm cool with that. I think I mentioned to you guys, I think I told you, Steve, that and somebody had asked me too recently that when is my favorite time to fight. I don't have a favorite time, but like spring, early summer is one of my favorite times to fight. During the summer, I'll do a match to stay in shape, and then fall. Because I do like to do like something before summer, like April, like March, April, May is good to fight for me. Take a little breather like in June. I'll do something in July, then I start doing back like in September. Like last year I fought in August, late August. So, and this year I'm trying to do something like before like June hits. Just trying to figure out if I could do whether it's a jiu-jitsu match, kickboxing, a Muay Thai, or a boxing match, or possibly pancrase.
Hell yeah,
pancrase, other wrestling, or MMA even. MMA I'll wait till summer, but everything else I could do.
Yeah, I see Marius commented in Bill. He said Bill's undefeated.
Yo, thanks, Marius. I actually just started training again. I want to get back into it, and I'm 28, so
you're young, bro. 28. Don't say 28 is too old. This and that. If you start at 28, okay, I would say that is a little older to start out, and don't expect to make it to the big leagues, and you don't know anything by 28. You're kind of just starting, but if you've done it, you took a break, bro. That don't mean anything. I told Pat the same thing. I'm like, bro, you could be okay still. You're 30. He's like 32, almost 33. He's like a little younger than me, but if you've done it, still have in your heart, bro. Other guys are older. My boy's 41. He's gonna do a boxing match. My other friend is close to 50. He still competes here and there.
Yeah, I want to try and have a couple more Muay Thai fights before I become too old to compete. So
yeah, that's fair to say.
Yeah, I just started training again. I want to give a shameless plug. I hope that's cool. My buddy just opened up a gym called Fight for Tomorrow. It's up in Doylestown. My buddy Evan. Yeah. We were talking about him the other night.
I know Evan very well. I was in Evan's fights, bro. I was there. Sabatini's last amateur fight, and Evan fought and won as well. And he had got a promoter. As a matter of fact, Evan got promoted to the gym I was just telling you about. Fight Sport. There's a picture. I'll pull it up at some point. You can see Evan there from like 2013, and I'm in the back. I'm right behind Evan. It's me. It's Pat Sabatini's. My boy Kenny Richmond. Deliano's in there. My friend, I think my one friend is there. Gordon. It's a couple guys. A couple fighters that like fight in the local area. But a lot of these guys don't train together no more. Some still do, and they're up in NPR. That's what Evan is. He was an NPR, which is Steve. He's around the corner from your old job from Lowe's. It's right there.
Yeah, no, because that's where I met Evan first. I met Evan at NPR, and then because I'm friends with Joel Cervantes. I don't know if Steve, you might know Joel. Yeah, you do know Joel.
Yep. I know Joel. Yep.
And
we got to train together, Bill. We got to train together, dog. It's a lot of story here, a lot of background story.
Oh, I would love to. I would love to train. And like I said, I want to compete again by the end of the year. So I really want to get there. I really want to get there and kind of get back into that competing shape.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I want to
Steve-
agree, bro. So,
Steve,
all
did
right.
we find out who Peter Wiener is? I just saw them.
Yeah, who
I
was the Peanut Wiener?
Yeah,
I don't
who
know.
is that?
They have 51 subscribers on YouTube. I actually pulled up their YouTube, and I don't know. They have they have a video that says down Wildwood, so it's somebody local. It's
Peanut
somebody
Wiener. Sounds like somebody that knows us.
Probably somebody. Yeah, it's probably somebody that knows you, Bill. I guarantee it. You'll have to look it up like after and like click. It's yeah.
Hold on,
Peter
because I was
Wiener.
looking at this.
Probably
Bill the
somebody you
Wise
know.
Man. I know you. You just don't know me with the little, like,
Yeah.
you know, like the little smiley
He
face
said,
and little
and he said, "I'm always watching."
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Peanut Wiener.
And then George,
Okay, wherever you are, Peanut Wiener, we appreciate you tuning in, man. That is a kind of interesting name. But
and George at the beginning, it says, "Where's George?" It was Nate.
oh, and that was Nate. Nate
Yeah.
Walker.
Yeah.
Nate. I think Nate's watching the story too. Yeah, Nate be watching sometimes. Everybody be watching though, man. You know.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people coming in and out. I've seen.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
tonight.
So no, the whole thing is, I know you just don't know me, dude. I was just wondering. I was like, wait, it doesn't sound like a girl would say, but is it a guy? That's probably some dude from like school, like I don't know, college or high school.
It's
something
got,
like that.
nah, it's definitely a guy because the photo is like 3 dudes. Like it's a dude. I don't know who.
Oh.
it
It's a
is.
guy from a fraternity club. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah, I reached out to a couple people. Let's see. Oh wait, I'm under. Oh no, it's definitely not him. No, I reached out to a couple people to try and get a big crowd for you guys. I have a lot of people who said they're gonna watch it tomorrow. So
Yeah, well, you can always watch the next day. Because
yeah.
I reached out to a few people. I usually will DM some people in person, reach out, but I also did a lot of tagging. So if you got tagged on Facebook, you more than likely saw it if you were on Facebook. So that reminded you. And Steve did a good job also with the promotion yesterday, putting a lot of names and all. So I mean, people definitely know about it. People watch. I see somebody. My one friend liked he liked it on Facebook. Another guy liked it, I think, on IG. I'm sorry, on YouTube. I mean, so yeah, it's a good amount, man. But yeah, man. So Bill, you say you started out at 16 to about 24. You said you fought.
22. 22. It was probably that's kind of like I did it, and then I started like doing it like a lot less often between 22 and 24, and around 24 is when I kind of fully took a break. But I would say I'm about 6 years out, like 6 years out of practice.
Don't worry, bro. I'll help you get back in, dog. You see this, man, right here? The hood right here says it all. You can't get Hoodsuti anywhere like that, bro. You got to order it. We do pancrase hybrid wrestling, bro. And Muay Thai is one of the styles we do, bro. We do everything from jiu-jitsu to boxing to hybrid wrestling, submission wrestling, Japanese and American style. It's the same thing as submissions and wrestling and throws and beats you up. Striking, Muay Thai, boxing, ultimate fighting, submission fighting. So we train all this, and we're trying to get a facility up in the Northeast, possibly North Philly, Northeast area, but we also want something up there, like closer to like NPR, because I mean it's a good market. So up there. Plus, I'm cool with NPR guys, and I'll be going there soon anyway. So we could go together one day, dude, and we could go pull up on Evan. Evan, if he sees me, he'll recognize me right away. Be like, I know George. If you said my name, he might not. You got to see the picture, but again, me and Evan were already some pictures together. I met him more than one time. We met a couple times. We spoke. We trained like once or twice together. He was coming with Pat Sabatini like a lot, consistently heavy.
Oh yeah.
And we had Sabatini at the location. The one on North, right? I was telling you about earlier, and of course NPR. That's what he's at. But he also came to Daniels and other gyms, and then we went to Simplify, and that's where Sean Brady was at. So Galliano's guys, the connection like with Sean Brady. That's when I kind of like had first met Sean Brady. Although I knew him a little, I knew his brother actually. I went to high school with his brother, who's older than me. He's closer to my age, but yeah, I met Sean like one of his fights, like 2011, he won by like knockout. And he blitzed the guy right away. Sean did, and I was there, and me and Sabatini watching the fight together.
Oh wow. Yeah, I actually saw Pat fight, Pat Sabatini fight. I think it was a card Pat Mackey was on. Or maybe it was like another.
Yeah, it might have been. Was it like back in the day? Because Pat Mackey's a fought in 2011, but he fought for about a year and a half. He did like for a period of almost 2 years, 2000, early 2010, over to like December 2011 type of thing. He fought about 10 fights, so he has 10 fights, bro.
Yeah, and it might have been.
He should have kept going.
Yeah, he should have. And like I said, it was the first time, and so it was my first time seeing Pat Sabatini fight. It was even my first time hearing about him, and I think at the time he was 10-1. or something like that, or maybe 9-0. Something
Yeah, it might have
along
been
those
like 9-0 or
lines.
something like that. Because I was when he was 10-1, I went to that one, and he ended up being 11-1. I think that's how he stopped. And then he won by armbar. He had like an amazing dragged armbar. Like the guy tried to get out of it. He kind of like tried to throw him down like a belly down, I think. But he was like hanging from the guy's arm, and the guy might have stepped his arm. Fight was over.
Oh,
The fight was near Upper Darby. I remember it very well because I was with some people that some of them are not really around anymore. And my boy Kenny was there, who's actually good friends with Pat, and Pat Mackey. I mean, Pat Mackey
Yeah.
was not there that day, but Sabatini was there. The one you're talking about is probably when he was like either 8-0 or 9-0, and yeah, I think Mackey fought as well, and I believe he had a rematch and he won that fight. He might have been against the guy named fuck was his name? Was it Jim Holland? Something Holland, maybe Matt Holland or something like that.
Yeah, I
There
can't
was a
even
kid with last
remember.
name Holland. Yeah, he has Pistol Pat. He'll tell you about it. He had lost the first fight, but he won the rematch, and that was, I believe, it was near St. Valentine's Day 2011 because they named it the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, and I think Sabatini was there.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I remember that actually.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Yep. See, I got a good memory with certain things. Some things I don't remember,
Yeah.
but these things I remember. Big Zoo. His name is Azuna. Zoo. He goes by Eighth Wonder. Big guy. The Nigerian Nightmare.
Nah.
Well, not Nigerian Nightmare, but he goes by that. He's a football player. He trained at NPR a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah, big dude named Zoo. Nigerian dude. He goes by the Eighth Wonder of the world. He fought in that one
wow.
too, and he won by knockout. He was a serious fighter. He actually fought in the Contender Series, but ended up he lost one fight. Then I think like an injury kind of prevented him from going back, and he lost a decision in the UFC. Well, the Contender falls into the UFC. It's tough. It's kind of like part of the setup or the smoke league. Well, if you do win the Contender, then nobody's there watching you. You're going to. I mean, it's the same ref in UFC. It's pretty much like UFC, but they're B league in a way. You know what I mean? So if you win
Yeah.
there, you can kind of go to UFC and you can go in the undercard. Yeah, he fought in that one, and Snoop Dogg was there. He was doing the commentary. So yeah, Azuna was there. Sabatini's coach, Eric Purcell, who I'm cool with, and a couple other guys. And yep. But Zoo stopped fighting
wow.
though, so shout out to Zoo. He stopped fighting like maybe like 2 years ago. Sabatini is the main guy from that gym to go like to the UFC and to kind of like go to the next level, And he's doing
Yeah.
good. Sabi's 3-0, bro. I mean, he's doing very good. I mean, he's got a lot of good fights, and he did win by heel hook, I believe. And he has a fight coming up like soon. I'm not sure when the fight is. It might be me this week. I know there's a card this week coming up, but there's actually a UFC, like a pay-per-view, not a fight card, like a fight night.
Oh,
So
wow.
there's a pay-per-view coming up this weekend. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think
you met Sabatini around then though, like in 2011, I guess, one of those fights, like this was the
yeah,
first time you see him fight.
maybe 2012. I met him once at MP so he came to Rocco's for one reason or another. He came to train a couple guys. So I met him then.
I remember that because that's when he actually cornered Pat for that one fight in 2011. Yeah, I know you're talking about. Yep, he came through.
Yeah, I met him then. I met him. Pat Mackey took me up to because at one point Pat Sabatini had his own gym.
Yeah, he did. He had a small gym like near kind of like not far from NPR. Is it somewhere up there in the Bristol area or Langhorne?
Yeah, so I went to his gym and then I met him once at NPR. He probably wouldn't even recognize me if we've met 3 times over the course of 7 or 8 years.
So okay, yeah, safe to say you probably like remember from back then. Yeah, he was training those guys because he was in Pat Mackey's corner when he fought Javi Guzman, who trained somewhere else now, but he was with Fight Sport at the time. And I told you earlier story. After he beat him a week or 2 later, something happened where he was invited back. Something with Rocco, like some kind of, he said, BS drama, and he came to that gym. And the fight was July 2011, so he probably came. Yeah, it was like sometime in July. He then came because I remember I went to the card before that Javi had fought, but he lost the close decision to a guy from Buffalo, and it was a war. I won there with a friend of mine and Fernando, and that was June 2011. Then July was his card, and I remember Javi called me. He's like, "Yo, I'm fighting Pat, your friend Pat, this and that." And I remember we talked about it, and then I wish Pat luck. And then Pat came to the gym afterwards. I was on training with Pat at the time. He was at Rockwell, I was here, and I was at New World MMA. He had went somewhere else, and also everything was everybody's kind of doing their own thing. And yeah, by as luck or fate was have it, we crossed paths again, and he came to our gym, and that's how everything kind of went from there. Some people that were there, all rivals or whatever, ended up leaving the gym after that because of clear reasons, and also because of other personal reasons I had, but it had nothing to do with me or Pat as far as I know. And yeah, like you said, Pat was coming to. I met Sabatini at Fight Sport though, and we kicked it right away. We became cool right away. I met him in like 2012. Or no, wait. Actually, I met him in 2011, but 2012 is like when I seen him like some of his first fights that I actually was there, and I went backstage too, hung out with him. So
yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. Well, we got to do some Muay Thai together, Bill. I mean, you have my information, you got my contact info. I got yours
Yeah.
or whatever. And I'm talking about sooner or later because I'm actually trying to do something like tomorrow I'm doing something, but I know tomorrow also works. So next week I'm probably gonna plan it all out a little. So at some point let's set up Evan and I mean you can go to hit up NPR. I mean it's a little drive. It's up, but it's not the way like that.
Yeah, I would love to do some Muay Thai. I was actually with Evan today, and he was holding pads for me. And
Oh, did you go? You actually went out there today?
yeah. Me and
When did you go there in the morning?
Yeah, I went there around 11 o'clock today. Yeah,
Nice.
Awesome.
yeah.
So,
Solid.
so George actually knows the one girl that came on a few weeks ago, Layla. She works at a mental health facility, and she actually messaged me and said that they're going to be getting ketamine soon at her facility because apparently they've heard it's very, very effective for mental health. So they're actually going to be as well.
Oh my God,
Montgomery County, yeah.
I mean, from what it's. I'm telling you, I'm on an uptrend. Based on how I feel from when I started ketamine. I'm sorry, from before I started ketamine, as to like when my last session was. There was definitely. It wasn't immediate. Like I thought it was going to be something immediate. It's definitely something that took some time.
Right.
Like I said, I'm a month out from my last treatment, and all I feel is I've been going up in this direction. So it's been fantastic.
Good, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Oh my
Sure.
God. I feel like, honestly, for the first time in a really long time, like my mind is like quiet at times. Which is huge.
Man.
So I'm really excited. So I hope they get I hope they do get it. It is extremely helpful.
Hell yeah, man. So yeah, apparently that's going to be big for them. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be a big trend.
Oh yeah, and I know they're experimenting with a lot of different psychedelics, but right now I think ketamine is the forefront at the moment.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, absolutely. Oh man, so man, we've been going a while, almost 2 hours.
Definitely, it was a very good episode. It sucks that I came a little late, but I feel like I caught up a little, And I mean, honestly, Bill could definitely have you more, but you could talk about this stuff even for like a part 2. Some, like maybe like in time you have another trip and you could, talk about that a little. There's always more material to cover. I mean, we'll bring you back because this actually seemed like a pretty good episode. A lot of people tuned in. We got some problem out there. I know Steve did some tags on the LinkedIn page, and which included me as well. But I did some on the Facebook one to kind of like get people to see it last second, just in case. And it seems like we're reaching a nice amount of people. Definitely, people want us to talk about this kind of stuff, or maybe not exactly ketamine, but something similar, especially a personal story. So we oblige them, mission accomplished. You know what I mean? But I think we did pretty good. And like I said, Bill, we have so much in common because of that, man. And obviously, the whole fight thing and the whole Muay Thai, MMA, Philly fight game, if you will. Philly it's a big city, but it's not that big. Everybody kind of knows each other here. I support all Philly guys, even if I'm not like I don't know them that well. We're not like that cool like that, but we just know each other a little. I always, give props and thanks, and I try, put the word out there or share or give them a little, like a little, take some time to cover, mention them. A mention sometimes helps, whether it's like a salute or shout out or whatever. And I don't shout everybody out neither, by the way, or I don't do all the time, but when I can, I do. Even if people probably, barely know me, I mean, they know who I am, but sometimes I might do the same, but it's all good. I always, give to the greater cause and to the perspective, I mean, like, okay, guys, good luck, I don't see everybody do well, but at the same time, I focus what I got to do because, right now we're trying to, get the team back together stronger, and I'm trying to, kind of build a team, but rebuild it because I've been there, done that, I've been that guy before. I was a top kid at a gym in the past. I'm not saying that there's definitely been guys better than me there. It does not make me stick about it, but I was the poster boy for a while. I was a top student, top guy, for a little top fighter. And, people come and go, and you always learn. You're never going to be the best at everything. You're always going to learn. I mean, this game's all about learning,
Oh,
so,
100%.
Yeah. I'd like to, work with you at some point, so we'll definitely make that work out and make that happen. But I guess it's about 2 hour mark, guys. We probably could shut it down soon. Steve, did you want to say anything else? And Bill, did you guys want to add anything else to it or mention anything else? Or
I just wanted to thank Bill for coming on and sharing his story. That was a hell of a story, man. I was interested to hear all the phases of it, but yeah, man, it definitely makes you kind of shift your perspective for sure. And then, yeah, man, thank you for coming on, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, it was definitely a good episode. And it was definitely a pleasure talking to you, dude. And again, I came a little late, but I feel like I caught the right time and definitely heard some interesting insights. So yeah, man, a very interesting episode perspective. We'll have to do something like this again. To be fair, we've talked about it in the past, but we just never really had
Yeah.
the right person that could talk about this. I mean, other than myself, but I would not include me because I'm not a guest. I'm just part of the podcast. So definitely, bro. Yeah, man, we'll leave the door open for more episodes with you as well. More fight episodes. Maybe when you have a fight coming up, and we will have fights coming up, we definitely, both talk about that as well.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm an open book. I'll share just about anything. So
Hell
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, do you want to drop your socials if people want to follow you? I mean, on Facebook, they can just reach you at your name, right, Bill Plymouth?
yeah, I'm never on Facebook though, and I actually I
Instagram.
just reacted. I just remade my Instagram. I think I'm up to like 55 followers now because
All right.
but yeah, but it's Plymouth Rock _22 if you want to follow me on Instagram, and yeah, connect with me
Follow-
there. And,
yeah,
I
I'll
answer all
follow you. I'll
messages
follow
and-
you, bro. Just follow me back.
Yeah.
Let me know. I'll follow you.
Hey,
Follow-
of course I'll follow back.
Follow my boy, guys. Get his follower count up.
Get his followers up. Guys, you heard? Because Bill's the man.
Hell
Bill
yeah.
knows what he's talking about, and this is some interesting
Bill-
stuff here.
Bill-
So,
Bill the wise man.
Yeah.
they might call you Bill the Wolf Man because of beer a little bit. Bill the Wolf
wise.
Man.
Hey.
A wolf is wise. Bill the
You know
Wise.
what? I
Peter
need
Wiener.
the screenshot Peter Wiener here
Yeah,
and
take a
put him
picture.
somewhere in my social
Thank you,
media.
Peter Wiener. I don't know who you are, but that's hilarious.
Let's take a pic so he has it.
Take a screenshot, eh?
Yeah, let me have that.
All right, man.
Oh,
I'll send
man.
I just took a picture of it, so I'll send it to you so you have
It's so
it.
good. As well as Peter Wiener is probably, actually like giving us some kind of like recognition. Like he does a story. I was watching the guys and they screenshotted my shit. Well, here you are. Come through anytime you want to. Peter Wiener, comment whatever you want to. Can you imagine the classroom? They'd be like, yeah, we got George M here, Steve Ushler, Mary Safali, Bill Plymouth, Peter Wiener. Come on, Peter. His name was Peter Wiener.
That was from earlier.
Yeah.
Bill the
Yeah, I see
Wise.
some people watching on the here as far as like the StreamYard and the YouTube
Yeah,
as
we
well as like on the Facebook
we
page.
a lot on Facebook, a lot on YouTube. Yeah, I can see like where everybody's watching from. So we had a lot of viewers on both ends.
Good.
It's interesting.
So we'll definitely bring another interesting episode perspective next week. But yeah, man, I'm pretty much good to go, you guys. But it was definitely a good time, man. And again, sorry I was a little late, but it will just fade, I guess. This shit, you always gotta restart a computer, and the worst thing is it took like 20 minutes damn near because I was on the phone. I was like, somebody had called me. I'm like looking
That's
around,
all
like
right.
it just kept saying waiting, and it kept buffering. I'm like, come on already, you fucking thing, go quicker. Like I was in a hurry, man. But I'm glad I made it though, and we'll be in touch, guys. Once again, guys, we always want to encourage you guys to share, like, comment, hit that notification, hit that bell, bunch, so you can be kind of like notified again. We're definitely trying to bring since most of the following seems to be on YouTube, and this is the main platform. We're trying to get the YouTube account even growing more, which is Steve's name, as you already know. But the Instagram page is getting there too, and the website. And again, guys, there's always plans. We're always constantly working to bring you good episodes like this. So just keep rocking with us, and we'll keep rocking with you.
Beautiful. And guys, thank you for having me. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
problem at all, man. You're welcome back anytime.
Guys,
Hey, just let me know.
Absolutely,
watching,
man. Well, I guess with that being said, fellas, I think we can wrap it up here. To everybody out there, have a great night and a great weekend. To you fellas, great night and a great weekend. And we'll
have a great night,
talk
guys.
more.
All right, see you
Everybody
all
out there, have a
soon.
good weekend. Yep, see you
Take
guys.
care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.